16. The second half of the draft, it's a lot better for the teams because there are players that are, like a quarterback is a reach in the first 6 picks this year, but not in picks, 12 through 32. We could see 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Theoretically, we could see no quarterbacks taken in the first round. I don't think that's going to happen, but I wouldn't be absolutely surprised if it is.
I wouldn't bet my money on it. Not with the need some of these teams have.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on if the only teams really that are in dire need of a quarterback are the Browns and, well, no, not even the 49ers, because now they got 2. They just got Brian Hoyer and I don't remember the other one, but they just grabbed 2 quarterbacks.
So got Chase Daniel, right?
No, Chase Daniel's still out there, which I think if the Browns could get Chase Daniel, offer him enough money, then they have the luxury at the first pick of taking Myles Garrett, which I think he should be the number 1 pick overall anyways, because he's just phenomenal. Mm-hmm. My goodness. All right, Tony, Giants fan, what do you want the Giants to do with their first pick in the first round?
It's a good question. The most obvious need is on the offensive line. That needs to be shored up. I mean, in contrast to what Dan just said, I mean, I would be super pleased if Leonard Fournette was to fall off. God knows we need a running back.
But the Giants at least have a solid right side.
Correct. Yeah.
The Jets have nothing on the offensive line,
and that's why I could justify a first pick if a running back of decent caliber were to fall. Obviously, Leonard Fournette will most likely be off the board at that point. His talent just is too good.
Dalvin Cook would probably still be available.
Dalvin Cook might be available, and even McCaffrey. But I also have question marks about both of those two, whether they're going to really be able to compete here in this league.
Well, the reason I think Dalvin Cook would be a better fit for the Giants than McCaffrey or Leonard Fournette is because Leonard Fournette's all speed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, he's all power. A little bit of speed.
Yeah, he's a big
McCaffrey is all speed, a little bit of power. Dalvin Cook, as we saw in that bowl game against Michigan, will run you over and then outrun the rest of you.
Yeah, no, he's definitely more versatile, and he can catch out of the backfield, which is something that Eli hasn't really had the advantage of having in a very long time.
He would have if Vereen hadn't gotten hurt.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's,
hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah, hindsight's 20/20 there. I would also not be upset with what a lot of people are projecting right now as far as the Giants going after a tight end. We need one that can catch the ball again and finally be able to do that. And developing someone who has the ability to block and receive would be ideal. Someone like Howard out of Alabama.
I think he's going to be gone by the time the Giants get to draft him.
Most likely. But, I mean, there's other ones. I mean, looking into it earlier, I mean, the guy's name from South Alabama, Gerald Everett, is on the table. Somebody who can do both, because the Giants have been lacking. I mean, last year, Will Tye was. I mean, the question: was he going to catch the ball or was he going to drop it again?
I mean, he's from Stony Brook, so.
No, I mean that's a mark on his own record.
I think we really should be asking how good can a player be from Stony Brook? Because first of all, what is a Seawolf? But no, they're.
Stony Brook, Stony Hands. Yeah. It kind of just makes sense.
See, that's
second round, possibly third round, simply because he got injured. Jake Butt.
I was actually thinking that. I was actually hoping for Jake Butt when I was watching the Ohio State-Michigan game. And I don't like giving Michigan players any credit for anything. It's one of the main reasons that I feel like Tom Brady's the worst person ever. That being said, I would not be upset if in a later round, because of the injury, they took the chance on Jake Butt, because I think he does have the potential to be very good in this league.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, because he's very much Jason Witten and Tony Gonzalez. Can block, can catch, has some speed. He's not as good of a route runner as Jason Witten, but he's got solid hands.
Right, but that can be taught too. And being said, the injury, I think you would be lucky to get him at a steal. Yeah. Where you do end up drafting him, depending on where that is. Obviously, you don't want to reach too high, but I think you could potentially be getting something of great value at a much lesser cost than you normally would have had that injury never happened.
Yeah, I think you guys are forgetting a key component of one of his pros, and that is just a fantastic last name.
That's a good point.
Yes.
A good point. I would probably get the jersey for that reason.
Exactly.
You're
jersey
right.
Sales would go through the roof.
You're right. Absolutely. So for me, as the Cowboys fan, Cowboys have a lot of needs, especially on defense.
Mm-hmm.
So at the 26th pick? Yes, 26th pick. They need to look at secondary. I think someone that should probably be there is Adoree Jackson. Love Adoree Jackson. He's going to be such a good pro. He can do kick return. He can do punt return. He's got great vision. The ideal like head on a swivel, follow the ball. He's got all of that. The other name that I'm excited about, and this might be a little bit of a reach, but with this year being such a crazy draft, you might have to reach a little bit. They need a linebacker.
Mm.
TJ Watt, JJ's little brother from Wisconsin, will probably be there at the 26th pick.
I think that would be a reach for him in the first round. I think there's a lot of hype for him because he's JJ Watt's brother. I haven't seen. He's good. I don't think he's first round talent.
I mean, he's graded as the number 4 pick in the second round. So going from 26 to 36, it's not that big of a reach.
That's fair.
So I think taking him to 26 wouldn't be that bad, but I'm all in on Adoree Jackson. The other name that I've seen floated out there,
that would be a really good value.
Oh, I think so too. The other name that I've seen floated out there is the wide receiver from Western Michigan. Was it Corey Coleman? He's just tall, much like we were talking about prior to this. Not Brandon Jennings, Brandon Marshall. Brandon Marshall being a big receiver for the Giants. That's what he could be for the Cowboys. But
have someone opposite Dez to open up that field a little bit.
Right, that's the thing though. That being said, Des Bryant's also a big physical target.
And he's selfish. I mean, he might get upset if he doesn't get enough targets.
Maybe. They re-signed Terrence Williams. They re-signed Bryce Butler. They've still got Cole Beasley. So they're probably not going to draft a wide receiver, at least not in the first round.
I think it would depend if they go BPA or if they do need or try and find a balance. So I think you're right. I don't think they're going to go offense. I think they're most likely going to go defense.
And plus, if I want a wide receiver, if I'm taking a wide receiver, I want D.D. Schuster-Smith. That guy is a beast. He's I think.
Where's he projected?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Well, he's not the top wide receiver. That would be Mike Williams from Clemson, which is funny that a wide receiver would be a higher draft pick potentially than the quarterback that threw him the ball. So
good point.
All right.
Yeah. Williams reminds me of Demaryius Thomas type. I would say. He's that big physical guy. He's not the speediest, but he can outmuscle a lot of cornerbacks. So
if you are looking for a linebacker at that point, someone the Giants were interested in, could very well still be there for you guys, is Zach Cunningham out of Vanderbilt.
Right.
Who's looking, I mean, it'd be nice for him to put a little bit more weight on it, but he's certainly a talent there on the linebacker that should be there in the first round.
Right. I mean, the biggest question in terms of linebacker for me is how well will Jalen Smith play? Because if Jalen Smith goes to start immediately, if he's that good, then drafting a linebacker would be a moot point because you don't draft a linebacker in the first round for them to not play.
Well, of course, I don't necessarily know that there should be a time that you draft anybody in the first round not expecting them to be an immediate impact unless you find out he has the intelligence of a goldfish like Goff last year.
Yeah, Jared Goff. Yeah, I don't know. We'll get more in depth in the draft
Oh,
and
obviously,
Gets closer, of course.
we've still got about a month.
yeah,
I think.
that'll probably take at least another episode, if not two, for us to just get through the NFL draft.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun coming up. Sticking with the NFL, let's move on to a more serious, more controversial, you could say, subject, and that is the extremely talented running back from Oklahoma, Joe Mixon. Guy is a first-round talent. He is incredible. The big problem is he's got character issues. And when I say character issues, I mean he got suspended in 2014 for what could be labeled as domestic abuse. Depends on, all of the situation. I don't believe they were dating, so I don't think it would be domestic abuse. I think it's more of assault. Mm-hmm. But still, there was an issue, an altercation between him and a woman where he hit her. She hit her head or her face on a table, and it broke some bones. She had to get reconstructive surgery. And with Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson and Greg Hardy so recent, this could be a really big issue for the NFL for whatever team does decide to draft him. So first question that I do have, do you think that the NFL, once he is drafted, because he will be drafted, should punish him right out the gate?
It's an interesting case, especially with his, because it, as you said, it wasn't, I don't think it was technically domestic violence. I think it was simple violence. I watched the video. The woman in question does push him first, and he does react to that, but he reacts so much harder than would be necessary, acceptable. He's probably got 150 pounds on this woman, and I think it's tough to say that he should be punished because of what the NFL allows to go on. I think they brush over domestic violence, and unless it gets viral or generates a big splash, in which case, they do a little bit more than their typical slap on the wrist. I think they need to do more amongst prospects, certainly, and current players. Mixon isn't even the only person that's had violent issues or domestic violent issues in this draft.
Actually, yeah. I believe I saw just today Michigan's Jordan Lewis just got arrested for assault, domestic assault. So,
and there's also that other prospect whose name is escaping me off the top of my head right now, DeAndre. I can't remember his last name, but he was with a big team, and they actually cut him. And the NFL's banned these guys from the combine, but I mean, that's not going to affect people like Joe Mixon. He's still going to go. He might not be in the top of the first round, but he's probably still going to be a first round or early second round pick. And the NFL's probably not going to do anything. Nor do I think they should just target him. I think it should be. I think they need sweeping changes in how they react to domestic violence, because they don't do anything except to protect their image.
So then what would you do? Like, if you get charged, do an investigation, and if it's found to be true, then an automatic season-long suspension, or ban from the NFL?
I think much longer suspensions would be called for. I think they should be forced to do some kind of anger management or therapy, and have to give back to communities. Probably volunteer at battered women's shelters. I think would be a very good thing, because it's not just punishment. You also have to look at rehabilitation and showing these players the better way, and opening their eyes to what this violence does. As far as prospects, I think a possible solution would be make them submit to that counseling for a set amount of time before they can declare for a draft and after their college. So they are not able to just jump from college to the NFL. They have to, take that time to reflect on their actions and
Well, how much time? Because this did happen in 2014, so it's been 3 years.
Right, and that's why I don't think he's a perfect case, because it has been